off our list today at number 10, we have the affair. So it's clear that Jada Pinkett Smith's affair with August Alsina crossed a lot of boundaries, especially since August was one of Jaden's best friends. What makes the situation even more unsettling is that August has even stated that Will gave him his blessing to continue his relationship with his wife. While August definitely didn't do anything wrong to be ashamed about, he did completely give himself to a relationship with Jada just to be thrown to the trash like he was nothing. Even though his relationship might have occurred with honesty and communication between all parties, the age difference between Jada and August definitely raised a lot of eyebrows, with critics being quick to point out that August was in fact introduced to the family as Jaden Smith's best friend. Number 9. Took advantage of August Alsina. When it comes to August and Jada's entanglement, because apparently it wasn't an affair, it was an entanglement, there has been a lot of questions, especially when it comes to the notion that Jada definitely took advantage of August's mental state. When Jada started seeing August, he was struggling to cope with a very vulnerable time of his life. Being 22 at the time, August was struggling with his health, as he was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition that had him hospitalized on multiple occasions. And with Jada stating that she was mentoring him, it would have an inside source tell Page 6 what kind of mentoring was she giving him, where he felt he was giving his all to a relationship that left him devastated and hurt. You did not help him, you destroyed him. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming back at our list today in the number 8 spot, we have Hates Woman. During an episode of the Red Table Talk, Jada Pinkett Smith would have a pretty hypocritical moment when she said that the racial divide between women of color and white women should shrink because they have all been oppressed for their gender, but she candidly revealed that she carried her own biased opinion when she said later on, she went on to note that she had a racial bias towards blonde white women. And when she sees a woman with white blonde hair, she just gets triggered and she has to force herself to stop lashing out at them in the process for no reason. Jada then went on to note that she has these feelings because blonde white women used to bully her in school, but we really had to question if this was because she feels scared about the bond Margot Robbie has with Will Smith. Number 7. Tries to become the woman she hates. So we all know Jada hates women who have blonde hair, and a lot of you have pointed out in the comments in some of our previous videos that it's weird that she has such a bias when it comes to women with blonde hair, as she herself has donned the blonde hair baddie movement, which makes you wonder, does she have a tendency of becoming the woman she hates? As it's clear that her comments about hating women had nothing to do with the girls who bullied her in school, and it was more just an indirect comment thrown as a diss towards Margot Robbie. Because as soon as Margot and Will worked together in the movie Focus, Jada started dyeing her hair blonde and telling her husband to get in shape so Margot didn't embarrass him on the big screen. Number 6. The Oscar slap. The 94th Academy Awards was interesting to the point that everybody is still cracking jokes about it today, even at the 95th Academy Awards that just passed. And what's not funny is that everyone keeps making jokes about violence, when the infamous slap definitely is still hurting not only Chris Rock but also Will Smith. After Chris Rock made a joke about Jada's balding head, she would scrutinize her husband by rolling her eyes and giving him an "are you kidding me" look. The look then definitely wiped the simple smile and laugh from Will's face, and he would stand up and take the stage to defend his wife. Even though Jada has been like, I didn't force him to do this and I'm appalled by his actions, maybe she didn't do it, but she did encourage him to defend her name, and she did have the power from stopping her husband from ruining his career. Number 5. Embarrass Snoop Dogg. Just after Kobe passed away in 2020, Snoop Dogg was quick to call out Gayle King after she stated in a TV interview that in the past Kobe has been accused of making unwanted advances on a woman who wasn't his wife. In an interview video, Snoop Dogg would call out King. In the process, he insulted King's appearance before telling her, "Back off, B, before we come get you." As a result of the outburst, instead of having a private conversation with her close friend, Jada would bring Snoop Dogg on her Red Table Talk show where she would embarrass him, not only in front of her mother and her daughter, but also in front of the whole world. After she told the rapper that she felt hurt on behalf of all women when she watched the video of him going after Gayle. As a result, Snoop Dogg was so embarrassed that he would make another video on his Instagram where he would apologize to King by saying, "When you're wrong, you gotta fix it." A derogatory manner based off of emotions. I was raised better than that, so I would like to apologize to you publicly for the language that I used calling you out of your name and just being disrespectful. impactful. But full on, she didn't need to bring him on the talk show to get him to say this. Number 4, drag Tupac's name. If you ever wondered how Tupac would have gotten involved with such a vile woman, you're not alone, as even decades after his passing, people are still wondering what his relationship really was with Jada, especially since she came out to pretty much diss the rapper by saying, "When we first met, I was a dealer." With the two forming a connection while they were both studying at the Baltimore School of Arts, the actor would have to clarify that something very bad happened to make her leave her dealing life behind. And then she would reveal how she got involved with Tupac, and the more she got involved with him, she started to realize that her relationship with the rapper was more just about survival. And then after his passing, it would be noted that Jada broke Tupac's heart after getting with Will Smith, and she would then ask Tupac not to hurt Will, but that was never his intention, and he was hurt that she would say such a thing. Also, the fact she still talks about him today like he's still the love of her life is actually just pretty messed up and really sus. Number 3, Scientologist. Although Jada has tried to claim that she isn't a Scientologist, she has been connected to the controversial religion for years, to the point even an ex-Scientologist named Lee told the Daily Beast in 2017, "I know Jada. She's been in Scientology for a long time. I never saw Will there, but I saw Jada at the Celebrity Center." Lee would then later appear alongside Jada in 2018 for Jada's Red Table talk show, where the pair settled their dispute, and Jada would say, "My grandmother was like, you're gonna learn all the religion, and then you gotta decide which one you want to practice. I always took the position that I'm here at the Scientology Center to learn what I want to learn, and I have no interest in being a Scientologist. But if you had no interest in being a Scientologist, then why did you open a Scientology school?" Number 2, embarrassed Will Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith has never missed the opportunity to embarrass her husband, especially when she heads over to the Red Table talk show. When Gwyneth Paltrow was even a guest of honor on the episode, Jada quickly came under fire for taking the opportunity to embarrass her husband after the two started to talk about their intimate lives. And the spice started to seem a little too much for Will's biggest fans. Not only did Jada take the time to bring up her entanglement, but she also went on to tell Gwyneth that she and Will navigate intimacy in the relationship and that it wasn't as smooth and easy as both of them thought it would be, especially when she noted that she just expected Will to know what she needed when it came to her intimate needs. When she said, "If you love me, you should read my mind." Twitter users then started to imply that Jada was oversharing or going out of her way to call out Will, and they were extremely disappointed that she would play Will like this. And coming in at number 1 today, we have Makes Kids Diss Will live. With Jada's Red Table talk show being pretty controversial at this point, we shouldn't really be surprised when she takes every opportunity she can to make her husband seem like he's the bad guy. Especially when she brought her own children on the show to discuss the problems they had with both Jada's and Will's parenting skills. But the whole thing just turned on Will to make him look like the bad guy with no control. In the episode, Willow would tell Jada that she was extremely upset with the way Will handled her success after she released her 2010 song, "Whip My Hair," when she said, "I only have one terrible experience, which is whip my hair. Just the values of people around me should have been the opposite. You and Daddy should have been okay. We value her musical growth and knowledge more than her popularity." Jada then went on to say that Will's approach was definitely different because they both had different childhoods, but you guys both grew up with hurt and pain, so that just doesn't make sense.
First up, August Alsina. Without August Alsina coming forward, we would have no idea about his affair or entanglement with Jada Pinkett Smith. Will and Jada have been married for 20 years, but it seems that they've been anything but conventional, and the pair have revealed that they have an open marriage. Alsina spilled the beans on his relationship with Jada while on Angela Yee's radio show. When speaking about Jada, he said, quote, "I totally gave myself to that relationship for years of my life, and I truly, really deeply love her." Alsina even claimed that Will gave the couple his blessing to be together, although Jada denies this. Jada admitted to having an affair with August, but downplayed it as an entanglement. During the Red Table Talk segment where they spoke of the affair, Will looked visibly angry about the situation, and pushed Jada to admit she did have a relationship with August. After admitting to cheating, Jada didn't really apologize or seem remorseful, she instead just deflected, saying, quote, "I was in a lot of pain, I was very broken," saying she only wanted to help August, but it turned into a relationship. Jada said that this entanglement with August happened while she and Will were on a break, and their marriage was really struggling. After Jada called their relationship an entanglement, Alsina told Vulture, quote, "If you look up the definition of an entanglement, it's a complex and difficult relationship. It was exactly that. I think it's just the language that probably stuck out to people." Adding quote, "But I definitely have to agree with it being an entanglement. It definitely was something complicated, a complicated dynamic." Even though it doesn't seem like Jada is ashamed of anything that she did, it is strange that she tried to deny it, then downplayed it when she could not brush it off anymore. She's also been accused of using her husband's pain for clicks on her Facebook show, but we'll get more into that later. Next up, Will Smith. Since Jada started being so open about her life on her Facebook show, Red Table Talk, she has consistently embarrassed her husband, Will Smith. Most notably was that episode where they spoke about their marriage and the affair that Jada had with August. In that episode, Will admitted to his wife, quote, "The fact that I am talking to you is a miracle," clearly showcasing the tension in their marriage. And then Will went viral after that interview, and a meme called the quote, "Sad Will meme" spread quickly online. Will brushed off the commentary from that episode, saying he was not sad in that interview, rather he had a long day and was just very tired. He told GQ about the meme, quote, "I'm not sad, I'm effing exhausted." It seems that Will puts his relationship on the line for Jada and their marriage whenever asked, while she doesn't do the same. The most clear-cut case of this was his Oscar slap. Maybe he knew that if he didn't defend his wife in that moment, that would put another strain on their relationship. Will has also admitted that they're only in an open relationship because of Jada. Will has revealed their open marriage was Jada's idea, since she, quote, "has never believed in conventional marriage and had family members that had unconventional relationships." Jada has even shared private information regarding their intimate moments. When Jada had Gwyneth Paltrow on the Red Table Talk, Jada revealed that her intimate relationship with Will was struggling, and that it had been hard for them to keep the spark alive. Jada said, quote, "The accountability part really hit for me because I think you expect your partner to know what you need, especially when it comes to Fans quickly came to Will's defense against her, calling out Jada for speaking so poorly of her husband. One person even tweeted a meme of Jada asking herself, quote, "I wonder how I can embarrass this man this month." Next up, Gabrielle Union. One of Jada's most notable feuds is with fellow actress Gabrielle Union. Neither woman could remember why they feuded in the first place, and Union recalled always feeling strange about the way Jada treated her. Jada decided to clear things up with Union on none other than her show Red Table Talk. Jada said on the show, quote, "She and I did not talk for 17 years and we could not remember why. There was just tension between us every time we would see each other. There was some moment that we had that it just left a bad taste in both of our mouths. When we got on the phone to try and figure out what it was, we could not figure it out." In 2018, Jada had Union on the show where they finally put the beef to rest for good. The pair talked about their strange feud and how there was always tension between them, but neither had any reason to not be friendly. Smith said, quote, "It felt so good to even just go, hey, I'm sorry that I didn't even take the time to talk to you. And then I had to just apologize and just think to myself, damn Jada, that was some petty stuff." Union later told Today that she was not sure why Jada did not like her. She felt it was the media and other people that pitted them against one another, but thankfully they are on better terms now. Her kids. Jada and Will share 2 kids together, Jaden and Willow Smith. But there have been a lot of people who've doubted their parenting skills, including Child Protective Services. CPS showed up at their home to investigate after a picture showed 13-year-old Willow laying in bed with family friend Moises Arias, who was 20 at the time. While a source told Radar that the case was, quote, "being taken very seriously by the department," Jada told reporters, quote, "There was nothing indecent about that picture or that situation." Will and Jada's parenting style is pretty lax. Will admitted in the past the couple, quote, "do not punish when it comes to their kids." The couple says they would rather give them as much control over their lives as possible. Adding, quote, "The way that we deal with our kids is that they are responsible for their lives. Our concept is, as young as possible, give them as much control over their lives as possible. And on the concept of punishment, our experience is that it has a little too much of a negative quality." Jada is also a fan of the ways parents discipline, telling Metro that it works pretty well. Although most kids would jump at the chance to have their parents stop nagging them. However, there might be times when it's appropriate to put limits on kids, as they might not understand the consequences of what's happening at that time. One example of this could be Jaden's past friendship with actress Zoe Kravitz. Zoe is 10 years older than Jaden, and Zoe admitted to hanging out with Jaden alone when he was just 14 years old. Although nothing inappropriate happened between them, other parents might want to limit that sort of interaction. Cherie Zampino. Cherie Zampino was married to Will Smith before he and Jada got married. The shady part is that Will and Jada started dating before he and Cherie were officially divorced. Jada's mother, Adrienne Banfield Jones, dished on Access, quote, "I think initially when Will first called you, I think he was still married or he was just separated, and I was like, he's not available to you." Jada added that Will was the div, and the orst didn't happen yet. But Jada later admitted that when she learned things were not finalized, she should have backed off. To make matters worse, Jada has claimed on multiple occasions that she never even wanted to marry Will. She only decided to go forward with it because she got pregnant. Her mother and Will thought that starting a family was the best idea, and Jada reluctantly agreed. Later, the couple agreed to an open marriage. And finally, Jada herself. So I think we all know what happened at the 2022 Oscars between Will Smith and Chris Rock, but I'll give you guys a quick refresher. While Rock was on stage to present an award, he made a joke about G.I. Jane directed at Jada Pinkett Smith because she had a bald head at the event. Initially, Will Smith laughed at the joke, but after seeing that his wife did not approve, he got up on the stage, interrupted Chris and the show, and slapped him in the face. Everyone was shocked, but later many came to Will's defense because Jada had been open about her struggles with alopecia. But a few days after the event, many were calling Jada a hypocrite. TikToks of hers that she made days before the show resurfaced, clapping back at those that made fun of her short hair. In one clip she said, quote, "She doesn't give two craps about what people say about her bald head." But clearly that's not true, or she would have been able to take the joke. In the rest of the video, she talks about how her hairstyling for so many years is part of the reason she developed alopecia. Jada shared that she was pressured to present her hair throughout her decades on the big screen and magazine covers. The treatments were used to give her straight hair, but they also caused her hair loss. That's not the only time her behavior has been a bit shady. The actress revealed that she can actually be pretty rude, specifically to people she loves the most. On an episode of her show Red Table Talk, she revealed that she's done so many horrible things to people she loves because of her ego, adding, quote, "Once my ego kicks in, we are in trouble. That Jada baby, she ain't cute, she's a vicious one, and she's mean." She also admitted that she got confrontational towards some of her husband's admirers, revealing, quote, "There was only like 1 or 2 times where I might have gotten a little hostile when I felt people stepped over a boundary that they were disrespectful. Now we got an issue." She did know that she is doing her best to improve these behaviors, but obviously we would hope that she would be nice to people all of the time.
Starting off our list today at number 10, we have Forced to Marry Will, with Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith's marriage being the top subject when it comes to scandals over the last year. It's left us all wondering when Jada might just stop, grow up, and stop making jabs at her husband in an attempt to embarrass him any further. When the actress's reaction after the Oscar ceremony in 2022 was to condemn her husband for slapping Chris Rock, the incident led the press to review previously published content around the couple. And a video then re-emerged from 2018, where in it, Jada could be seen stating that she never wanted to get married and she was forced to marry Will because she was pregnant. The video would actually turn out to be an episode from her Red Table Talk podcast, which featured her, Will, their daughter Willow, and Jada's mother. In the interview, Jada would say she was under so much pressure and she didn't know what to do, but her mother forced her to marry Will. Number 9. Substance use. Back in 2021, Jada would candidly detail her past issues with substances and alcohol, where she would say that she was a walking miracle after kicking her addictions. During her Red Table Talk, Jada would open up about how she used to combine wine with other forms of substances when she developed a tolerance to solely drinking. She would then go on to say, "I wasn't doing things that I thought were addictive, but I would do those 3 together. That was my cocktail. Your threshold becomes so high that what it takes for you to get to the place you need to get to, it will take me 2 bottles to get to, okay? If I do substances with alcohol at the same time, I get there faster and I can keep the feeling going." Jada then said she went cold turkey one day after she had a health scare on the set of the 1996 The Nutty Professor, as she passed out on set and made a total fool of herself. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8. Comments about the Oscars. Just when the confrontation that happened between Will Smith and Chris Rock had become one of the most discussed topics around the world, a lot of people had their say on the comedian's joke and the actor's decision to respond by slapping the comedian. And if things couldn't get any better, Jada Pinkett Smith then broke her silence on the issue when she chose to write a message on her social media account saying, "This is a season for healing and I'm here for it." Though Jada didn't say anything during the controversial moment, she did, however, make sure she was in the center of it going forward, as she claimed that she hoped Will and Chris could eventually heal and reconcile one day, and that she never forced her husband to slap Chris. Her and Will were moving forward and were going to focus on their lives. But it all just seemed a little too sus, and she shouldn't have said anything, and she should have just more supported her husband through this hard time. Number 7. The controversial podcast. When it comes to the Red Table Talk. It's definitely a one-of-a-kind talk show that features a one-of-a-kind family. While the show was created with good intentions, as the family just wanted to create a safe space where they could talk about some pretty weird topics, the conversations have become real, raw, unfiltered conversations, where not only the family has exposed their darkest secrets, but other celebrities as well. And while the show has gone on to gain quite an impressive fan base, the in-depth conversations have become pretty controversial when it comes to the hot button issues that are discussed, and it has hurt Jada's career to the point she can't even get casted in anything, and she really hasn't worked on anything since her role in the Scream franchise. Number 6, the Matrix controversy. The Matrix franchise is well known for revolutionizing the cinema world with its stunning visuals and graphics. From the very release of the first movie, The Matrix made an everlasting impact on the souls of the audience, with the franchise being represented well by Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss. Did you know that the hit duo actually could have been represented by celebrity couple Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith? But since Will Smith refused to play the hit character of Neo in the blockbuster franchise, as the actor was in no mood to shoot another Alien movie after Independence Day, Jada Pinkett Smith would fail to be selected for the role, and she blames it on Will, as she didn't have any chemistry with Reeves, which resulted in her to lose the role. So it goes on to show that she just has trouble connecting with other people on set when they aren't her friend or family members. The actress did, however, go on to grab a role in the franchise after she lied about not being pregnant. Number 5, Scientology affiliation. Reports have been stating for years now that Jada Pinkett Smith has had strong ties to the Church of Scientology. Although she has never publicly subscribed to the belief system, many sources have claimed that not only did she once practice Scientology, but she was also heavily involved in it. The information would come to light after a former Scientologist told the Daily Mail that not only was Jada a member, but she was also a recruiter who was paid to lure people into the church. The source also went on to say Jada was always around the celebrity center, doing things her own way with Kelly Preston in the president's office. Tony Ortega, who has extensively covered celebrity involvement in Scientology, also said on his blog, The Underground Bunker, "We have known for years that the dedicated Scientology in the family was Jada Smith." And Jada's alleged connections to Scientology did not stop there. In fact, they only appeared to get stronger over time, as she also went on to open a private school for the church in one of her homes. Number 4, too full of herself. When the Los Angeles Times caught up with Hubert to ask her to clarify her criticism of Jada, Hubert would claim that Jada and her husband clearly needed to get over themselves when she said, "You ain't all that, you're not kings and queens, you're not royalty, you're simply entertainers." But that's clearly not how the Smiths see it. Vivica A. Fox once even fought back tears as she spoke about Jada Pinkett Smith's remarks about her husband smacking Will Smith at the Academy Awards in 2022, when the actress said on an episode of Wendy Williams' show that Jada took no accountability for her role in the incident on her Red Table Talk. Fox then went on to explain she believes Jada played a part in the incident when she said, "Will was defending her honor. That's the reason he walked on the stage and slapped, because he felt like his wife had been offended." She then went on to note that because Jada took no accountability, it made her seem so self-righteous and full of herself. Number 3, bad parenting. So before I get into the bad parenting aspect, I think it's worth mentioning that Will and Jada's kids once freaked out Sony executives to the point they emailed Will about the issues, and he just responded by saying everyone just disses his kids. However, Sony isn't the only ones to question Jada's and Will's parenting, as when Willow was pictured in bed with a 20-year-old man in 2014, it would spark a police investigation. Radar Online would then post an article where they would state the Los Angeles Department of Children and Family Services were looking into the snap of Willow, who was 13 at the time, that was posted online and then later deleted. Will and Jada were extremely cooperative with officials, but they weren't so happy that their parenting skills were under scrutiny. Jada would then break her silence about the issues and would say that there was nothing wrong with the picture or the situation. Number 2, the affair. It seems like just after the whole world was done talking about Jada's affair with her son's friend August Alsina, it would be brought out again after new details were released to to the public earlier this month. As after August watched Chris Rock's Netflix special, he told the Post he thought it was not only funny, but it was also truthful. And that was the best part for him. So when Rock finally went public about his thoughts about being slapped by Will Smith at the 2022 Oscars in his Netflix comedy special Selective Outrage, he would speculate that Smith only smacked him not over his joke about Jada's baldness, but because he was unleashing built-up anger he had over his wife's affair. A source would then confirm that August was happy to see Chris Rock advocating the truth, as everyone has been against him since the whole affair was exposed. And considering Jada downplayed their relationship with her son's friend for 4 years, Will was led to believe that nothing was going on until she embarrassed him on the Red Table Talk, and since Hollywood has been wondering what kind of woman she exactly is, because she's not normal, that's for sure. And coming in number 1 today, we have Not in Demand. After a promising breakout performance as Maureen in the 1997 film Scream 2, Jada's career looked to be heading in the right direction, but then it was stalled in the following years to come after she gained a role in the film Woo. Variety described it as being an unfunny comedy that brought out the worst in just about everybody involved in the film. In years to come, Jada was only able to land supporting roles, but her record with critics has been spotty at best. Despite her best efforts, studios have not been keen on casting her as a leading lady, and the only successful role she's been able to gain a leading role is for her voice work as Gloria on the animated film franchise Madagascar. She even did a really bad job playing Fish Mooney in Fox's DC crime drama Gotham.
Kris Jenner. Believe it or not, the Kardashian clan used to be super close to the Smith family, particularly because Kris's kids got along super well with Jada and Will's kids. In fact, Kendall and Jaden are still super close, but we never see the adults hanging out anymore. It's very likely that their friendship didn't survive the whole famous Khloe Kardashian, Tristan Thompson, Jordan Woods love triangle in 2019. After Jordan was exposed for making out with Khloe's ex Tristan, Jada decided to have Jordan on her talk show, Red Table Talk, to reveal her side of the story. The interview featured a ton of sympathy for Jordan as she said her piece about what went down. Jada and Will have known Jordan since she was born because her father worked on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Apparently, after the allegations came to light, Jordan came to Jada asking for help. Quote, "I just wanted her to have a platform to tell her story. That's it. She's a young, beautiful woman inside and out, and me having been a young girl, we sometimes get into situations that we don't necessarily know how to handle." It's likely that all this sympathy towards Jordan led the Kardashian matriarch to cut ties with Jada, as they were never seen getting close after the incident. Promptly after the interview, the Jenners and the Kardashians all unfollowed Jada and Will on Instagram and vice versa. That being said, they still let their kids hang out, as Jaden was spotted at Kendall's infamous controversial 2020 birthday bash. Next up is Olivia Jade. While there's no overt animosity between Jada and Olivia Jade, there was definitely some very public discussion of having her on the Red Table Talk show. After the college admissions scandal that put Olivia Jade's mother, Lori Loughlin, in jail for attempting to cheat her daughter's way into college, Olivia Jade attempted to go onto Red Table Talk to set records straight. She went onto the talk show in 2020, and Jada's co-host, her own mother, was extremely public about her distaste for Olivia's appearance. Jada's mom stated, quote, "I fought it tooth and nail. I just found it really ironic that she chose 3 black women to reach out to for her redemption story. I feel like here we are, a white woman coming to a black woman for support when we don't get the same from them. It's bothersome to me on so many levels. Her being here is the epitome of white privilege to me. And honestly, it's hard not to see her point." The whole time Olivia Jade was on the show, she just kept talking about, "Oh, poor me. I didn't realize how privileged I am, blah blah blah." And Jada's mom let her have it. She told Olivia straight to her face, quote, "There is so much violent dehumanization that the black community has to go through on a daily basis, right? There's so much devastation, particularly this year, 2020, and everything being brought to the table. There is so much inequality and inequity that when you come to the table with something like this, it's like, child, please. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted with everything we have to deal with as a community, and I just don't have the energy to put into the fact that you lost your endorsements and you're not in school right now. Whoa, I can't even imagine that going over super well on the friendship mark, especially considering this public blasting was broadcasted all over. Next up is Tom Segura. While this may be more towards Will Smith, Tom Segura has held absolutely nothing back when torching the Smith family online for the Oscars slap incident. Obviously, a lot of celebrities are ticked off at Will Smith right now, but Tom definitely brought his distaste for Jada into this rant. In a series of tweets, he said, quote, "Let me tell you this, man. The idea that you're entitled thinks because your feelings are hurt, you get to one of the all-time greats because you feel, and then the cowards, the spineless cowards that are in Hollywood and comedy. We have all the lists of the guys. It's insane. It's like a gross exaggeration. You see it all the time. I mean, you see entitlement everywhere, and that was on full display for the world to see. I have zero respect for that, and I feel like more people need to come out and say it. It's unacceptable." Damn. Tom, tell us how you really feel. That being said, it's unclear if the in question is Will or Jada. It could be either or both in this situation. Either way, I doubt Tom will be invited to any Smith family dinners in the near future. Next up is August Alsina. While I think maybe this one is a bit of a stretch because it's hard to hate someone who's actively keeping you relevant, I do think that August Alsina can't be happy with how his name has been dragged through the mud with this weird open marriage thing that he was involved with. He claimed to have dedicated years of his life to Jada after they had initially been introduced when Jaden brought him home as a friend. Although the two had their affair while Jada and Will were separated, it didn't stop the actor from writing an entire album called Entanglements about her. It has also just been announced that he's going to write a memoir about his time with Jada, which I am like 99% sure is to A, keep him relevant, and B, to drag Will and Jada's name through the ringer. Next up is Sheree Zampino. Sheree Zampino is the ex-wife of Will Smith, who he had one son with named Trey. Although this feud is largely over, Jada openly admitted to really disliking her husband's ex-wife, and the feeling was very mutual. When they began their relationship, Jada and Sheree hated each other. They had a lot of issues with their blended family, which basically meant them all co-parenting the kids that they all had with Will. Zampino recalls a moment when she had to speak to Will about their son Trey, but Jada picked up the phone. Quote, "You picked up the phone and I wasn't really respectful. You basically let me know, I don't really appreciate your tone, and I was like, it doesn't matter. And you hung up on me. I called back and I happened to say, bitch, you're living in the house that I picked out." The two then shared a laugh with one another, so I guess this one doesn't really count because they've definitely made amends with one another. Despite having an extremely rocky relationship to begin with, they seem to get over it for the sake of Will Smith and their kids. Okay, this next one is just for laughs, but Will Smith. I mean, God, they must have had an extremely hard time within their marriage because Jada, for better or for worse, constantly lays it out on the table. She airs her dirty laundry with Will genuinely constantly, and a lot of fans think that the Men in Black actor is so stricken with Jada that he won't see just how inappropriate her behavior is. For example, always on her talk show, Jada insinuated that Will doesn't know how to please her in bed when she was discussing intimacy with Gwyneth Paltrow. Also openly admitted to cheating on Will, and she had an extremely intimate relationship with Tupac Shakur despite her claiming never to have dated him. I can't imagine all that going over super well, especially when we, as the ever watchful public, know all of these things. I think it would be a much easier pill to swallow if the entire internet weren't calling Will a but here we are. And now that the Oscars slap thing happened because Will was defending Jada's hair loss, it really does feel like a house that's so full of pretension and privilege that I think people have just kind of largely given up on the couple. Anyways, listen, I know it was so tough finding celebrities who openly hate Jada. Not that she's a particularly good person, but like, why even have the public beef?
Number 10, affair with August. So by now, we all know Jada's affair with August as Lena, but it was a secret that she never wanted exposed, and something that she tried to deny up until the very last minute. This is how it all went down. While promoting his third album, August sat down with the Breakfast Club and claimed that the Smiths, whom he considers to be like his family, had an open marriage, and Will allegedly gave the singer permission to date Jada. Quote, "I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation. He gave me his blessing. He also admitted that they deeply love each other, but that he felt like not talking about their relationship was affecting him professionally and personally, because it was a secret that was weighing weighing him down. This was explosive when it first came out, and it's clear that Jada would have prevented this if she could. Almost immediately, her publicist came out with statements denying any romantic involvement, stating that the claims were absolutely not true. But it was already too late to backtrack, and the couple finally decided to air out their dirty laundry and went on the Red Table Talk about a week later. Number 9. Feud with Gabrielle Union. Unbeknownst to the world, Jada Pinkett Smith and Gabrielle Union were secretly not speaking to each other for almost 2 decades. The actresses, who both gained prominence in the late 90s, had a long-standing tension between them that led to a 17-year-long feud. Although neither of them can pinpoint the exact moment that caused the rift, both admit to feeling awkward around each other during this period. The two finally put an end to the silence in an episode of the Red Table Talk, where they both talked about how they've grown in terms of female relationships. Jada said, quote, "She and I did not talk for 17 years, and we could not remember why. There was just a tension between us every time we would see each other." She went on to say that there was some moment where they had left a bad taste in each other's mouths. Years later, when they finally got on the phone to figure out what exactly went wrong, they couldn't figure it out. Jada went on to suggest that it was probably just the two of them being young divas, but even they don't really know for sure. Number 8. Scientology school. This next one is super crazy. Leah Remini claimed that the Smiths founded a school based on Scientology. So to give some background, the couple opened the New Village Leadership Academy, a mysterious private school in Calabasas, California, that opened its doors in 2008 before quietly closing in 2013. While Jada furiously denied the allegations in a 2009 interview with Ebony magazine, quote, "All I can say is that it is not a Scientology school. Now, if you don't trust me and you are questioning my integrity, that's a whole different matter." But the Daily Beast actually spoke to 4 former teachers at the school who all admitted that Scientology is not only bled into the curriculum, but that it was essentially a Scientology school. Also, most of the teachers were followers of the controversial religion themselves, and there were pictures of L. Ron Hubbard hanging on the walls, who was a science fiction writer and founder of Scientology in the 70s. Not only that, but on the Academy's website, which has since been removed, it actually mentioned the study technology as, quote, "an educational model developed by L. Ron Hubbard." Number 7. Investigated by CPS. This incident was not widely known at all because it happened in 2015 when Willow was barely a teenager. Jada admitted on the Red Table Talk in 2019 that she was furious after Child Protective Services showed up to the family home to investigate whether or not her daughter Willow was being starved. It all started when a 14-year-old Willow was photographed while lying in bed next to her shirtless family friend, who was 20 at the time. While she insisted that the photo was innocent, it was definitely extremely controversial, and CPS also thought so too. So they decided to intervene after the agency received a complaint accusing the Smiths of starving their teenager. When recalling the incident, Jada admitted that it was the first time she got really furious. Quote, "I was looking at the lady and the whole time I was thinking, you could be helping so many kids right now, and you're wasting your time with a child who has everything they need." According to the actress, both Willow and Jaden exhibited passive behavior throughout the visit and said that it was like their own personal protest to being investigated by the agency. Number 6. Substance misuse. When Jada was young, she had some very real issues dealing with the addiction that came with substance misuse. She also acknowledged that she drank excessively and used all kinds of narcotics. Quote, "For me, drinking red wine was like drinking a glass of water. I drank a lot in high school, and then I went on to mix everything up." She then recalls a time that she mixed a variety of illicit substances that are a dangerous combination when used together. While on her talk show, she recounted before her mother and daughter that she was high functioning during the week and consumed almost no alcohol for several days, but spent her weekends at parties. Quote, "From Thursday to Monday morning, it was non-stop. Things went on like this for a while, until one episode that changed everything forever. It was in 1996, during the filming of The Nutty Professor, that a young Jada went to work still high off one of her partying binges, and she was in very bad condition." She went on to say that she passed out on set and told everyone it must have been from expired medication, and that was the wake-up call she needed. So when looking back on that time, she sees the whole thing as a miracle. Number 5. Marriage to Will. In December of 1997, the couple got married. A year later, Jaden, their first child, was born. In 2000, they became the parents of a girl they named Willow. Although her marriage had already surpassed 2 decades, which is a really long time when you look at other Hollywood couples, there were many secrets about their real feelings towards each other that were kept hidden from the public eye. Jada eventually confessed that at first she did not want to marry Will. She was 3 months pregnant at the time and felt that she was pressured to say "I do." Quote, I was so angry because they forced me to get married. So angry that I walked all the damn aisle to the altar crying. So on their wedding day, Jada got cold feet and actually didn't want to go through with it. There was also a time when their marriage hit rock bottom, and it happened when Will realized that his wife had cried for 45 days straight over their troubled marriage. Quote, she would wake up and start crying. She did it for 45 consecutive days. I know this because I wrote it down in a diary. He also said that it was a time he felt worst in their marriage. This was very difficult for the actor because he had been trying to paint the picture of a perfect family, but it was only putting stress on the couple. Number 4. Leah Remini's accusations. In her memoir, Troublemaker, Leah recalls a time that she and her husband, Angelo, spent time at Tom Cruise's Beverly Hills mansion when he invited a group of well-known Scientologists and other celebrities, including the Smiths. This is where the story gets a little crazy. He announced to all the guests that he wanted to play hide and seek. Leah somehow got out of it and claimed that her stilettos were too high to run. While it sounds a little weird, in her book, Leah called the Smiths as more famous friends of the church, and even told the Daily Beast in 2017, quote, I know Jada's in. She's been in Scientology a long time. I never saw Will there, but I saw Jada at the Celebrity Center. She even goes on to mention the Scientology school that they opened and reveals that despite what Jada has been saying, that she is indeed good friends with Tom Cruise and an active member of the controversial religion. Then on Watch What Happens Live in July 2017, Jada told Andy Cohen that the hide and seek story just wasn't true, and later posted on Twitter, quote, I have studied Dianetics and appreciate the merits of study tech, but I am not a Scientologist. Number 3. Addiction to adult videos. The actress confessed a little known fact about her personal life. One of them was that she used to be addicted to sex. Quote, my types of addictions jump from one side to the other. When I was younger, I thought I had some kind of sex addiction and that everything could be fixed with that. She claimed that she was addicted to adult movies at a time in her life when she had decided to practice abstinence. But her addiction got out of control and she was forced to stop consuming X-rated movies. She went on to say that she got hooked on hardcore movies that were very disturbing. Quote, it's the behavior that's attached to it, because if you want to have a lot of sex, that's great, but why are you having all that sex? That's what you've got to look at. Jada also shared that once she took it too far when it came to pleasuring herself, and she admitted that while she was taking a break from men, she became way too addicted to doing it herself. And at her lowest, she was doing it 5 times a day, before she suddenly decided one day that it was enough because it had taken control of her life. Number 2. Issues with Chris Rock. Viewers of this year's Oscars were left completely in shock when Will infamously walked up on stage and slapped comedian Chris Rock across the face for making jokes about Jada. But what most people don't know is that the beef between the Smiths and Rock actually goes back several years, so the tension has always been there. Chris once took aim at Jada while he was hosting the 2016 Oscars, because the couple had very publicly decided to boycott the event. At the time, their protest was due to the fact that no actors of color were nominated for the 2nd year in a row. Chris said, quote, Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited. He actually said this during his opening monologue, and it really seemed to sting the actress. The comedian also took a dig at Will at the very same time. He spoke about the actor's performance in the movie Concussion, saying that it's not fair that Will was this good and didn't get nominated, then added it's also not fair that Will was paid $20 million for Wild Wild West. It was such a burn that the couple was clearly not able to shake off. The open relationship. While on the Red Table Talk, some more very questionable things came out that exposed the nature of Will and Jada's relationship. Basically, Will implied that the couple's decision to open up their marriage was Jada's idea, because she told him that she never believed in conventional marriage and that they needed to figure out how to make themselves happy individually. So it was almost like she told him that happiness can be found with other people. But Jada's affair with August started to make a bit more sense when she openly spoke about her disappointing sex life with Will. While talking with Gwyneth Paltrow, Jada outright said that keeping the spark alive in their marriage is hard, implying that although they've been married for almost 25 years, he still doesn't know exactly what she wants in the bedroom. Quote, because I think you expect your partner to know what you need, especially when it comes to sex. It's like, well, if you love me, you should know. You should read my mind. That's a huge pitfall. It must have been a little embarrassing for Will when Jada insinuated that he wasn't meeting her needs, but now it's obvious she was the one pushing for the open relationship.
Starting off our list today in the number 10 spot, we have toxic. Toxic femininity is usually less obvious than when you compare it to toxic masculinity, because much of it is masked by the display of insincere emotions, with Jada showing a history of passive aggression, backstabbing, display of jealousy, defaming other other men or women and using people to take an unfair advantage, she has been applauded by her bad behavior as people have labeled her to be empowering. Throughout her marriage, Jada has claimed that she was forced to get married and that she was crying when she had to walk down the aisle at 3 months pregnant with her first child. Within her relationships, the toxic femininity translates to emotional, verbal, and psychological abuse. Her overall behavior has even caused generational damage, and she needs to work on herself and heal her life so her children can understand what a healthy relationship is. Number 9. Clash with Snoop Dogg. In the wake of Kobe's passing in 2020, Jada Pinkett Smith wasn't afraid to call out Snoop Dogg over his comments towards Gayle King, and in the process she started a difficult conversation about misogyny after King mentioned a woman accused Kobe of unwanted advancements. Snoop then posted a video on his Instagram where he talked about the issues, and in it he insulted King's appearance before telling her, "Back off, B, before we come get you." As a result, Jada brought the rapper on her Red Table talk show to try to clear the air, where she would say, "When you first came out and said what you said, you know, in regards to Gayle, my heart dropped." Jada then explained to her old friend that when he said what he said, she felt hurt on behalf of all women. Snoop did end up apologizing to King after Jada embarrassed him on her show by taking to his Instagram to say, "When you're wrong, you gotta fix it. I was raised way better than that, so I would like to apologize to you publicly for the language that I use, calling you out of your name and just being disrespectful." But did Jada really have to embarrass him? Because this could have just been a private conversation between friends. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming at number 8, we have poor communication. During an episode of the Red Table Talk back in 2018, Will revealed that he had some pretty poor communication with Jada when they got into arguments, as she just likes to raise her voice and curse him out instead of speaking about their issues like normal people. Will then brought up a significant moment that launched their communication when he said that they were playing Pictionary with 20 other people, and this included Will's son Trey from his previous marriage. Will had his son on his lap, and at the time he was only 1 or 2 years old, and Jada cursed him out in front of everyone by saying, "Will, would you shut the F up?" It got so bad that Will even had to bring her into another room to explain to Jada that because of his upbringing, he didn't wish to be in a relationship that involved the use of profanities and violent language. Number 7. Dealing with Tupac. Even decades after his passing, people still have questions about what his relationship was with Jada Pinkett Smith, especially since Jada once said, "When we first met, I was a dealer. That's how we started." The actor then went on to say that something very bad made her leave that life behind. But while she was getting out, she was getting further involved with Tupac, and her relationship turned into a survival moment, as she even once had to bail out the rapper for $100,000. Their friendship still raises eyebrows today, especially since Will Smith admitted to being jealous of the late rapper, as in his mind he was tortured by their connection because Jada loved Pac, and this rendered him to the point he couldn't even be friends with Pac when he was still alive. Number 6. The open marriage. The Smiths have received a lot of scrutiny over their marriage, especially since Jada addressed the rumors surrounding it in 2009 when she told Atlanta's Q100, "I've heard all the things. Their marriage is not real. He's gay, she's gay. They swing." The actor then dismissed the idea that they had anything to prove. Then in an interview later with US Weekly, she would add on to her claims by adding that people are going to think whatever they wanted, and it was too hard to be in a pretend marriage. In recent years, however, they have admitted that they have an unconventional approach to their marriage, as when it comes to their relationships, they have chosen monogamy. On top of that, they've given each other trust and freedom with the belief that everybody has to find their own way, and they do this so their marriage just doesn't feel like a prison, but honestly it just sounds like this was all Jada's choosing. Number 5. Took herself to the Red Table. In the aftermath of August Alsina's bombshell interview, Jada would admit that there was some healing that needed to take place, and she tweeted that she would be the subject of her next Red Table Talk. talk. She would then force Will to also make an appearance on the episode to share his side of the story. And he would just take everything in as she lied about being temporarily separated from Will when she had her affair with August. The couple then went on to reveal that they also reunited after August was out of the picture because Will and Jada realized they just couldn't stay away from each other. With the clip going viral quickly, Jada just kept repeating the word entanglement rather than using the word affair, and she quickly became an online target for jokes, as did a picture that supposedly showed Will in tears because this show embarrassed him to a T. Number 4. Stole Will away from his ex-wife. So before Will and Jada actually got married, Will Smith was in a previous relationship with Sherry Fletcher. And apparently before he and his ex-wife split, Jada actually started dating him. She even admitted to being a homewrecker when she said, "Because I did not understand marriage, I did not understand divorce. I probably should have fallen back, but she obviously didn't fall back as she just kept making advancements." During the process, she then became pretty standoffish when it came to his ex-wife over time, and at one point, Will even had to put her in her place over the issue after she had an argument with Fletcher over the phone. Will was not happy with Jada, and Jada would later say his take was that this is my son Trey's mother, and that's not your place, but Jada did make sure she wanted to put Fletcher in her place by making a point that she was the one and Fletcher was not. Number 3. Chris Rock. Before everything happened at the 2022 Oscars, Will and Jada Smith actually had history with Chris Rock, as Jada had been in a full-out feud with the comedian since the 90s, as their beef extends all the way back to 1997, when he took aim at Jada before she got married to Will on his late-night show called The Chris Rock Show. Rock would then begin his roast of Jada when he said, "You know, at the Million Woman March, there were moving speeches from people like Maxine Waters, Winnie Mandela, and here are some inspirational words from the lovely Jada Pinkett." Chris then went on to cut a clip of Jada at the march where she says, "I'm here today because this is an act of power, woman, okay?" She then whittled down a joke where she yelled the lyrics of The Roof is on Fire instead of her speech. He then picked on her again at the 2016 Oscars over her activism. Chris Rock knew something was up with her from the beginning, and that's why a lot of people didn't want to work with her, because she's controversial even when she's trying to do something good. Number 2. Hates woman. Jada's never been afraid to be vocal, especially when it comes to her Red Table Talk show. In one episode, the world saw Jada note that she found it difficult to be interested in having relationships with white people, when she addressed that she was biased when it came to white women, especially if they had blonde hair, mostly because of bullying she was subjected to in school. She then went on to say, "I have to admit, I'm guilty to that to a certain degree because I do have my own biases, specifically to blonde women. Blonde hair on white woman triggers me. I've had to catch myself." She then went on to address that she realized her own hypocrisy, as she stated that her past didn't give her the right to put all blonde women in the same category, but she was still going to continue doing it anyways. And coming in number 1 today, we have disrespectful. So when a clip resurfaced, it would show Jada Pinkett Smith underwhelmed reaction to a surprise birthday party Will Smith planned for 3 years, and the video would have the internet divided. When Jada's 37th birthday was over, Will took it upon himself to throw an extravagant birthday for her 40th birthday party. But when that date finally hit, things didn't go as well as Will was expecting things to go. In fact, her reaction was not ideal, and it made Will hit a low point in his life. Jada then ripped Will apart later on her Red Table Talk show when she told the actor she was going through a midlife crisis, and she thought his gesture was just a ridiculous display of his ego. She felt like the party just wasn't for her. Everyone felt like Jada's response was rude and disrespectful, as he treated her like a queen and she really just ended up treating him like a peasant. Starting off our list today at number 10, we have alopecia. Just after the 2022 Oscars, the internet couldn't stop talking about the hair loss condition Jada Pinkett Smith is suffering from. With her journey of alopecia being openly documented, TikTok and Reddit users have gone on to prove that the star is lying about her condition, with users debating over images Jada has shared of her bald scalp when she was talking about her hair loss in a video shared on TikTok by Mariah Campbell, along with the caption, "Here is my celebrity conspiracy." The content creator can be heard saying, "I think she's completely lying about having alopecia because she's a cheater and wants people to focus on other things." Mariah then went on to say alopecia is patches, smooth patched, where the hair follicles don't grow, and she then started showing images of examples where viewers can see the type of round patches she's talking about. Mariah then went on to show a picture of Jada's head, where she pointed out that there's a line on her forehead, which the actress has explained in a previous video to be the result of her condition. Mariah then pointed out this line was most likely caused by cosmetic surgery and not alopecia. Her second argument would then prove that Jada was lying when she pointed out that if Jada had alopecia, she would have circular, bald patches, but she seems to have a lot of hair growth for someone who has alopecia, meaning she forced Will to smack Chris for no reason. Number 9. Racial bias reason. As we've all come to learn from the recent videos, it's that Jada Pinkett Smith hates white women with blonde hair, meaning she hates my very existence, especially now that I'm calling out for all of her lies. While Jada went on to explain her revelation back in 2018, she would sit down to discuss why seeing blonde hair on white women just triggers her, when she admitted to her own biases by saying, I have to admit I'm guilty to that to a certain degree because I do have my own biases, specifically to blonde women. Blonde hair on white women just triggers me. I've had to catch myself. When her mother asked her if there was a specific incident that happened with someone who had blonde hair, the actress tried to claim that throughout her childhood she was teased by white women in regards to her hair and how she looked. But we all know she's just lying about why blonde hair women trigger her, as it's clearly just a sneak diss towards Margot Robbie. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never have to miss on what we might just cover next. Coming back to our list at number 8, we have the entanglement. Just after August Alsina came out to expose Jada for having an affair with her husband, Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith would soon come out to deny the singer August Alsina's claims that they were in a long-term relationship for years while she was still married to Will. After August spoke publicly about being involved with Jada Pinkett Smith, reps would soon come out with a statement calling the claims absolutely not true. Shortly later, Jada would then head over to her social media accounts to state that there was a lot of pain that needed to be discussed and that she would be taking herself to her famous Facebook watch series, The Red Table Talk. During the conversation, we would learn that the entanglement was in fact true, despite what her representatives led the public to believe in the beginning when Jada admitted to the affair, and when it finally came out, it obviously was all lies, as she also claimed Will never gave the pair his blessing. However, August Alsina has nothing to lose when it comes to his affair, so why would he lie about the issue? Number 7, the Oscar slap. With the infamous Oscar slap being what's been talked about for over a year now, makes us wonder if this incident is ever going to fade away. Probably not. With footage emerging from the Oscars online, it would show Jada Pinkett Smith had a really odd reaction to her husband Will Smith smacking Chris Rock on stage at the Oscars, which suggests that she forced her husband to make a stand for her. When Chris made a joke about Jada playing G.I. Jane because of her bald head, Chris was reportedly unaware of the actress being diagnosed with alopecia. So while we went on to laugh at Chris' joke in the beginning after he saw his wife roll his eyes, things quickly took a sharp turn for the worse. With the event being telecast live, the moment was so intense it didn't show Jada's initial reaction to the slap, or any of the interactions between her and Will beforehand. But now, videos have surfaced online, and in them, Jada can be seen laughing after Will took to the stage to slap Chris before going on to act just as confused as the rest of the audience, which proves Jada is shady and manipulative. Number 6, relationship with Tupac. For years now, Jada has been lying to the public about how serious her relationship was with Tupac. And honestly, it's gone a little too far as she keeps running her mouth with imaginary stories of the late rapper that make no sense. And it's gotten to the point she's even made her children believe that she would be happier if Tupac was still alive, as Willow even once wrote to the late rapper when she was 11 years old claiming so. With Jada and Tupac's relationship dating all the way back to the 80s when the two attended the same college, Jada has constantly stated that her relationship with Tupac has been strictly platonic, but then she tends to make her presence known whenever he starts to trend again online, which suggests that Tupac was more than just a friend. Especially since after Tupac passed away, his friends would come out to say how much Jada destroyed him when she left him for Will. And since a lot of Tupac's friends have been disgusted by the way she uses his name to draw attention to herself. 5. Not being pregnant. So many actors have admitted to lying to get a gig, and Jada happens to be one of these people. As she once revealed when she was offered the role of Niobe in The Matrix Reloaded, she was pregnant and kinda lied so she could secure the job. After the actor explained why she lost out on the role of Trinity in the original film as it came down to chemistry and she just had none when it came to acting with Keanu Reeves, she went on to explain that the Matrix directors were so impressed with Pinkett Smith that they created a role for her. But the role was actually supposed to go to Aliyah in the beginning, not Jada. Though the role was later given to Jada, she would have lost out on part of it if she had been 100% truthful, as the actor was pregnant with her daughter Willow at the time filming was required. And her being due in November, there was a small problem. Her daughter was due the same month. The film was supposed to start filming, so she lied, saying her baby was coming in October, so she would be ready by the end of November. Luckily, Willow came at the end of October, or things could have been a real mess for the production team. Number 4, loving Will. Lately, it's been pretty clear that Jada Pinkett Smith has never loved Will Smith. Now, I get it. You're all probably wondering to yourselves how I may have came to this conclusion. Well, just let me explain. I came to this conclusion because she's had an entanglement, and then she went on to put all of her business out on the table while diving into everyone else's business in the process during multiple episodes on her infamous Facebook watch series, The Red Table Talk. But think about it. If Jada seriously loved Will, like truly loved him, she would have never let him run up on the stage and smack Chris. She would have never laughed about the overall situation, and honestly, Will would be happy, but instead they both look miserable with each other. So it shows that when she says she loves Will, she's truly lying to Will and herself. Number 3, being a good parent. For years, Jada has been trying to convince the public that she nailed the whole parenting thing, and that the way she approaches things as a mother is how every mother should be approaching their child. However, when Jada brought her children, Jaden and Willow, on the Red Table Talk, they would open up about how hard it was for them to have Jada and Will as parents, and how they found it difficult to grow up in a famous family. To the point her kids felt like there was seriously not enough support when it came to their artistic careers, and they wished that their family could have noticed they were struggling and gave them support. Instead of admitting to the problem, Jada then went on to blame the whole thing on Will Smith, for noting that they had different parenting skills due to the fact that they grew up with different backgrounds. But how you grow up shouldn't affect the way you parent your children, as we all have control over our own actions, and people can't affect that. Number 2, not being a Scientologist. For years, Jada Pinkett Smith has been lying about how involved she is with Scientology, with former Scientology members confirming that not only was Jada involved in the controversial religion, they've also pointed out she was actually a recruiter for the organization. While the star has been known to visit the Scientology Center from time to time, she's even tried to claim that she was just at the church out of curiosity and wanted to learn what she wanted to learn, and she didn't think of herself as being a Scientologist. However, with the actress helping the church open the new leadership academy in her own home, it would later be revealed by teachers and parents who pulled their kids out of the school that the school's curriculum followed the teachings of Scientologists. And if the actor wasn't a Scientologist, then why did she force her husband not only to open the school with her, but allow the church to open the academy in one of their homes and put her own children in it? It adds up. Number 1, Chris Rock. Just after Chris Rock released his brutal Netflix Selective Outrage special, Jada Pinkett Smith would try to take aim at the comedian by saying he was obsessed with her. However, we all know this just isn't the truth, because who's obsessed with Jada Pinkett Smith? As she would have a close source come out to point out that she had nothing to do with the drama between Chris and her husband, and the only part she ever had in this mess was the fact that Chris heckled her. The source then went on to try to claim that Chris was so obsessed with her for almost 30 years by pointing out when he filmed the special, it was in her hometown, and then he claimed how she should have been made fun of as she started this. As he argues, she should have quit the Oscars. I mean, Chris is hurt, but I don't think he's ever been obsessed with Jada. As compared to some of the other celebrities he's heckled, he says her name way less. It just seems like Jada's trying to use anyone at this point to help her play victim, and that's exactly what she's doing in this situation.